Hello everyone, my name is Nivedita Sharma and I am Assistant Professor at Tecnia Institute of Advanced Studies, and today we will learn the basic concepts of public relations. Now if we talk about public relations, the another name for public relations is perfect relations, and it is an unpaid form of communication where you need not to pay any amount to the media, but you are getting the paid form in terms of your services. And it is also persuasive in nature, and it is a two-way form of communication. When we talk about two-way form of communication, that means the organization or a company, they need to communicate with the target audience. And once they need to communicate with the target audience and the target audience, they give feedback to the organization, it is hence a two-way form of communication. It also makes the rapport or image of an organization by building the relationship in the organization and its public. Now, when we talk about building a relationship, that doesn't mean the company has to build it for a single day or for a short duration. Now, company has or they seek relationship that to be a long-term relationship of a company with their public. Now, company has to understand the public opinion, they have to earn the public faith as well. Now, with this, I hope you guys must understand the basic concept of PR. Now, the second topic of this is definitions of PR. PR is a deliberate, planned and sustained effort to establish a cordial and a mutual relationship between a company and its public that has been given by British Council of Institute of PR. Now, if we divide this definition and if we want to understand the basic concept of this definition is, the first aspect of it is a deliberate. Second one is it is a planned, and third one is it is a sustained effort. Now, when we talk about the deliberate effort, that means the organization themselves take initiative, they become a proactive and they take initiative to build upon their relationship between its public. Now, second part is the planned. Now, why PR is planned effort? Because everything is being planned in a strategic way. If we talk about the PR, it means wholesale planning is required in public relation. What would be the media, what would be the content, what is our target audience, what we need to deliver it to the target audience. Everything is planned in a systematic way. That is why PR is deliberate as well as it is a planned effort. Now, the third one is the sustained effort. Now, why PR is sustained effort is just because PR is, as I told you earlier also, PR is not just for a single day or for months. It is actually for a long-term relationship. And when we talk about long-term relationship, that requires a sustainability into it. That is why PR is deliberate, planned and sustained effort, which ultimately builds up a relationship between an organization and its public. Now, the second definition is public relations is a strategic communication process that builds mutually beneficial relationships between organization and its public. Like I told you earlier also, public relation requires a strategic formation. That means what would be the tactics, what would be the tools, and the process of PR ultimately we're gonna study in the next phase of it. That is the RACE formula, where you do research, where you make an action plan for it, where you need to search out what you need to communicate with the audience, what actually they want to listen from you, what actually they want from you, and what is the opinion for the organization. Now, with this, I hope you must have understand what is PR and what are the definitions of PR. Now, after the definitions in PR, we should study what are the basic elements of PR, what actually makes PR very strong. Now, when an organization needs a PR or a perfect relation, there must be one think, that is, there must be an organization. They want to establish relationship. If there will be no organization, there will be no PR. Now, this is the first element when we talk about public relations. Now, second element is mission and vision. There is a huge difference between mission and vision. Vision is the long-term establishment where company wants to seek themselves. Now, mission are the particular goals or the short-term goals which establish or fulfills the vision. Now, this is the second aspect. If an organization is there, vision is there, then hence they will understand what actually a public want. Now, the third aspect is, if organization is there, mission is there, then ultimately public should be there. Now, if we categorize the public, we will be categorizing the public into two aspects. Now, the first aspect is the internal public and the second aspect is the external public. Now, if we talk about internal public and external public is the public within the organization, as the name shows you, and the external public is the public which is outside the organization. It might be the target audience or it might be the potential customers or the buyers. Now, once the three aspect is being over, then the fourth aspect is the management. Management is the organization's management, whosoever decide the context and the content of the deliverables. Content and the context is all being decided by the organization, what has to be delivered to the audience. Now, the next aspect or the element of PR is the media. If media is not there, ultimately there will be no PR. An organization, say for example, Tecnia wants to build up their PR. Tecnia would be the organization. Now, their vision and mission is they want Tecnia to be the Delhi NCR's topmost college or the preferable college. This would be the mission, and the mission would be the goals, the small programs or the quality education and different deliverables they are giving to students. That would be the mission. Now, the third aspect is the public. I talked about internal and external public. Internal public would be Tecnia's all the employees, that would be internal public, and the external public would be the students they want to take admission into. Now, the next aspect is the management. Management would be the top management, middle management and the lower management. The top management decides the policy of organization and then is being executed by the different people. Now, the next point is the broad element of PR is media. Now, when the organization wants to communicate, they will hence communicate with the media only, because from media only the people will get to know what the Tecnia Institute is actually. Now, after you understand what are the broad elements of PR, now there is a time to understand what actually a nature of PR is. It is an art and science of managing organization communication. Now, why it is art as well as science? Because art that requires certain skills to communicate. Now, when we talk about skills, every single individual has a certain set of skills which makes the person or the organization unique. And then we talk about the science. Science means it requires a systematic process to communicate. Organization wants to communicate with the audience. They need to make it in a systematic manner. They cannot communicate their latest product or the services announcement first and then they introduce themselves. They have to be very systematic in terms of communication, or they have to publicize about themselves. Then they will be talking about what actually they are introducing into market. Now, the second aspect in nature is it involves strategic communication. In every single line of mine, I am talking about the strategic communication because it requires certain tactics or tools that needs to be communicated so that the communication should be effective. It should not have any flaws. That is why the strategic communication is required. Now the third aspect is, now when we do public relations, when we build up a relationship, that obviously and certainly gives a positive image of an organization, and every single organization, they believes on building up their rapport with the public. Now the third aspect is, once they build up a rapport or a goodwill of organization or a company with its public, they need to evaluate the public attitude or the opinion. That is what public actually thinks about them, what actually is the opinion of the customers about a certain product or a services or an organization or a brand. They need to evaluate, they need to study the psychology of a public. Now, next part is, when they develop certain public attitude, or they can evaluate the public attitude or opinion, parallelly they need to develop a healthy and a good relationship with media, because ultimately media is the only vehicle that will carry the messages or a communication to the end audience. And if they don't have a healthy or a cordial relationship with the media, they will not get more coverage, and if will not get more coverage, they will not communicate effectively. Now the next topic is types of public. We have already discussed in precise manner, but now we will be understanding what is the basic concept and what actually the variant of public. We will be dividing the public into internal and external, as we discussed earlier, but in external there will be again a different bifurcations to it. Now the external is again divided into two subparts. One is the general public, one is the specific public. Now the first type of public is the internal public, and internal public is the public which is directly associated with the organization. Now when we talk about direct association with the organization and its internal public is all the shareholders of organization, all the top management of organization, all the middle management of organization, the various employees, whether it is the clerical staff or the teaching staff or the non-teaching staff or the labor or the workers, it all comes under the internal public, means the public which is directly involved internally in the organization. And the second aspect or the second type of public is the external public. Now the external public, when I talk about the external public is the outside public which is not directly linked with any of the decisions or any of the policies of the organization. Now external public can be the target audience, it can be the potential customers or potential buyers, or when we divide the external public into two categories, the first category is the general public and the second category is the specific public. Now the general public is all the heterogeneous market outside the world, that is your general public. Now the external public, the sub part is specific public. Specific public is the target audience whom the organization is actually targeting. That would be the external specific public. Now PR and advertising. Now, whenever I talk about public relations with the students or with anyone else, they often say me, there is no difference between advertising or PR, but that is a myth. There is a difference between advertising. They certainly share some similarities in it, as they both come under one umbrella, that is promotion. They both are a part of promotion mix, but certainly they have certain differences in it. Now the first thing, when we talk about advertising, advertising is a paid form of communication. Whatever you need to advertise in media, in any form of media, you have to pay a certain amount for that space or a slot in media. That is why it is a paid form of communication. Now in PR, it is non-paid form of communication. Why it is non-paid form of communication? Whatever you are getting, whatever coverage you are getting, you don't need to pay for it. That is why it is a non-paid form of communication. Now the second is, in advertising we have the identified sponsor to it. Now identified sponsor means the name of a manufacturer or a logo of a manufacturer would be there in advertising. Now if the logo is not there, the advertising is incomplete. Now in PR there is no such identified sponsor, there will be no logo of it, although in a press release or so there will be a brand name or the product name also, but there will not be any logo or an identification mark. Whatever you will find in advertising, it would not be there. Now advertising basically is the expensive thing, expensive part of promotion. Expensive is because you need to pay it to media, you need to pay it to production house, or everywhere you need to pay a huge amount of it. But in PR you need not to pay it to media. You can organize a press conference, or you can send a press release, you can arrange a trips or a media tour. So it is less expensive form of communication, and they both are effective form of communication, but PR is less expensive form of communication. With this, you have understood the concept of PR, actually the elements of PR, definition of PR, nature of PR, and as well as the type of public and the difference between advertising and PR. Now, once you have understood all the thing, there is one process of PR as well. RACE is actually a process of PR. RACE, where R stands for research, A stands for action, C stands for communication, and E stands for evaluation. It's not that race which we are doing daily. It's actually a PR race. Now the first part of RACE, that is R, research. Now research is what? Actually which develops a basic step in a strong communication, where you need to find out the certain information, or you need to find out certain solution to a problem. Now once we do a research, we need to do a certain situational analysis to it. When we talk about the situational analysis, the analysis is being done again in two parts. The first part is the SWOT analysis, SWOT, SWOT analysis, and the second part is the PEST analysis, PEST. The first is SWOT, that is S stands for strength, W stands for weakness, O stands for opportunity, and T stands for threats. Now the organization, when they need to develop a strong communication for audience, they need to identify or what are their strengths, what are their weakness that has to overcome, what are the opportunities where they can expand to market, and what are the threats, they need to identify the threats and eradicate those threats. Now the second is the PEST analysis, where P stands for political, E stands for economic, S stands for social, and T stands for technological. Now organization needs to identify what are the political aspects, what are the government policies in trade, what is the economy of our country, how we can contribute in the economy, what are the social aspects, how we can develop certain products or services which will ultimately benefit the society, and what are the technological advancement we can add upon, and the product, ultimately the product comes out to be a tech product. Now in RACE, the second part is action. Action means you need to, once the research is being done, you need to establish certain objectives or goals, what actually you need to achieve. Now to achieve certain goals and objective, you need to decide upon the strategy or an action plan to it. Before making a strategy or an action plan for your target audience, you need to think what should be objective. Now designing a objective is again has certain set formula to it. Now the set formula to it is a SMART. SMART means S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for accurate, R stands for realistic, and T stands for time bound. Now, why it is SMART? Every single objective you decide for your action plan or your communication plan, that has to be very specific, that should not be vague. Say for example, you are talking about to aware audience about your new product or a service, then the company need to identify that how much awareness level they want. If they talk about only awareness, that is a vague objective. And when we talk about that to aware 20% of the target audience or 20% of the population, that is a specific objective. Now the second is measurable. Now every single action plan or a communication plan, that is a certain time bound to it. That doesn't mean you are starting PR today and it will go for years and years. No doubt it will go for years and years, but every single time your action plan or your communication plan will be having certain transformations to it. Now when we talk about a time bound or specific, that has to be first is measurable. When we talk about, like I said, the 20% of population need to get aware. Now that is measurable also, that is realistic also, and that is accurate also, because in a certain time frame of 1 month or for 2 months or 3 months, you can easily aware 20% of population. And say for example, you talk about you aware 60% of population in 1 month, that is next to impossible and that is not realistic also. So you need to identify the objective first and you need to develop the objective with the formula, that is a SMART formula. Now once you have made the action plan, third phase of it is communication, where you need to be very specific about the appeal of a communication, that is into content and the context. What you need to communicate, how you will be communicate, what media you will be targeting, what would be your media mix, what would be strategy for effective communication. It should be a precise one, the messages should be crafted in that manner that audience, they must understand what actually you want to say. Because in communication, the essence of communication is very important. If the essence of communication is lost, you have done nothing then. Now the communication is, it should be persuasive in nature, that should actually persuade the audience about your idea, whatever you are saying, that should be there, the public outside the world, that they should be convinced. Then the communication should be obviously in accordance to the media requirement, because ultimately and certainly you are communicating with the media as your vehicle, and if you are not crafting your messages in accordance with the media, your communication will not be done and media will not at all entertain your part. Now the fourth part of it is the last part, that is evaluation. Now you have done research, you have made an action plan, you have drafted your communication. Now here comes, you need to identify whatever the objective you have made earlier in your action plan, whether you have actually done that. So here comes your evaluation part, where you need to check the effectiveness of your communication. How effective was your communication, how effective was your PR plan. Now once you check out how how far you have achieved your objectives, then you do two types of evaluation is there. One is the ongoing evaluation and second one is the end evaluation. Ongoing evaluation is, for example, your action plan was of 1 month. So every single day or every single week as per the requirement. You set up your objective, and then you check out whether you have achieved the objective or not in the week. That is, in a month, if it is an ongoing evaluation, you evaluate yourself or your action plan 4 times. And when we talk about the end evaluation is at the end of your PR plan. Say for example, like I said, 1 month, then at the end of the month, check on how much you have got the coverage, how much you got recognized among the audience, how your company is doing, what actually you have done so far for building the relationship and the company's aspect, or you can talk about the rapport building. So that is what a race process is, and with these planning and deliverables, you can certainly make an organization a very good image of an organization, and you can ultimately with these steps you can create a positive rapport among the organization and its public. That's all from my side. Thank you so much.